Hello, everyone. Here's a quick look at the top trending international news stories making headlines today. If you post an interesting comment during this update, we may add it at the bottom of the screen. Leaders in the U.S. have more questions than answers after the massacre of 19 children and 2 teachers at an elementary school in Texas. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern was in the U.S. this week and offered some solutions. She shared what her country's government did to enact sensible gun reform laws after 51 people were killed at a mosque in 2019. Ardern has been praised for passing stricter gun laws within days of the tragedy. However, gun rights supporters insist you cannot prove that strict gun laws caused a reduction in mass shootings, nor that they would work in America. Health officials are tracking the spread of monkeypox around the world. The virus is typically found in West and Central Africa. But the World Health Organization suspects the virus has spread to 16 countries. Portuguese health authorities have reported an additional 14 cases of monkeypox, raising the total number of cases to 37. Health officials say the virus is not as contagious as COVID-19, and the overall risk of transmission is low. Officials in the Philippines are investigating a fire on a passenger ferry boat that left 7 people dead this week. The Philippine Coast Guard said the vessel was headed from Polillo Island to Real Quezon when a fire reportedly started in the engine room. There were 134 passengers and crew on board. 7 people died, more than 100 others were rescued, some were treated for injuries. "65% of Britons say UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson should resign as a result of Partygate. Several images have been released showing Johnson drinking and partying in 2020 on UK government property when the country was on COVID-19 lockdown. A large majority of Britons believe Johnson misled the people by denying he broke the rules and has lost the trust of the public. Johnson has apologized several times, has vowed to make changes, and says his job now is to move on and serve the people in his country. A new report by the International Monetary Fund says Russia's war in Ukraine is worsening the global food crisis. Russia and Ukraine are usually some of the world's biggest exporters of grain. Russia's President Vladimir Putin is effectively holding back on grain distribution to try to negotiate fewer sanctions. In the U.S., higher prices are straining food banks and increasing the risk of a recession. In some poorer countries, the crisis is causing scarcity and hunger. The IMF says the world needs to find ways to prevent the food crisis so tens of millions of people are not affected. New COVID-19 cases and deaths continue to decline around most of the world, except the Americas and Western Pacific. According to the World Health Organization's weekly report, COVID-19 cases in the Americas and the Western Pacific region actually rose. Overall, as of May 22nd, there have been 522 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 and over 6 million deaths globally, with the U.S. reporting the highest number of cases and deaths. And finally, I hope wherever you are, you're able to take some time to relax and refresh. I recently returned from a trip to Santorini, Greece. It's such a beautiful town. All of the colors are the same. And the streets are very narrow and winding and hilly. It's very interesting. And one of the beaches actually has a volcano. I was able to take a boat ferry over and tour the volcano. A big thank you to our Sign1News app supporters. You help make this broadcast happen. You can download the Sign1News app by heading to the App Store or Google Play Store on your smartphone. And you can also watch on Apple TV, Amazon, and Roku.